Well, it seems like it's been a heavy news month, so before I get any deeper into any of this, let's just state the facts outright. Fact number 1. Adria Richards, a developer evangelist, whatever that means, attended the 2013 PyCon Python Developers Conference. Fact number 2. The male developers behind her at the conference were making unspecified comments about dongles and other sexual innuendos among themselves, which she took offense to. Fact number 3. She posted their pictures on Twitter for a public audience to view without their permission. Fact number 4. This directly led to one of the men in the photo being fired. Fact number 5. She got a lot of pushback from the internet. Fact number 6. Thereafter, she herself was promptly fired. Now, I will not be as presumptuous as to tell each and every one of you what you should think and feel from this situation. There is, however, one big lie I want to get fully debunked before I talk about what I'm going to next. Making jokes about male genitalia is in no way sexist. I've seen people try and justify saying that it is as it being part of a series of microaggressions, which is absolute poppycock with no basis in fact. Simply being offended by something someone said does not mean that it was directed at you in any way, or that what they have said magically contributes to your or anyone else's quote-unquote oppression. And after all, the jokes had nothing to do with women. How is it possible for jokes that verge on the homoerotic to be discriminatory to women? Did she want them to also make jokes about vaginas? Would that have been less offensive? I hate to break it to anyone who thinks this way, but just because you are offended by something does not make you right. You do not have the right to be not offended by anything you encounter, simply the right not to listen to it. But, as always, my attention turns to the mass media, the people who are simply supposed to report the facts and not make any claim that the comments were some great offense to Adria when it makes no logical sense, or to paint her as a tragic victim. But of course, we're not talking about real journalists here, so let the damage control begin. And if you want to save time, the general media response to this whole situation can probably be typified as this. But anyways, let's take a look at the highly professional media responses to this situation. Article 1. Donglegate, Why the Tech Community Hates Feminists by Alith Marwick. Well, that is not only an exceedingly vague headline. Is she going to talk about Donglegate and sexism, or Donglegate being the reason that the tech community hates feminism? It is also designed to be as rhetorical as possible too. Nice usage of the word hate there, very professional. It was the tweet that launched 1,000 trolls. When Adria Richards tweeted out a picture of two men she overheard making sexual jokes behind her during the open source conference PyCon, the internet erupted. Oh ho ho, buzzword alert. I swear that this is about the 10,000th time I've heard this type of sentence spewed out of the mouth of someone having the gall to call themselves a journalist, albeit online. Saying the internet erupted is more than a little hyperbolic, and also note the way that the sources are linked throughout the article, and when I say sources I mean that in the loosest possible terms, because I'll be coming to that later. Rather than attempting to discern whether Richards is in the right or the wrong, I've been thinking about why the issue blew up and what it reveals, because it's far from the first time this kind of thing has happened. The Richards incident and resulting backlash not only reveals a lack of diversity and presence of misogyny in tech culture, but the myth of meritocracy and the growing belief in misandry online. Essentially what we have here is someone throwing up their hands and admitting that what they're about to tell you next is a load of rhetorical donkey waste. I love how she says that she's not going to discuss the facts of the case, but instead focus on baseless speculation, as we will see next. Also, the reaction Adria got was a direct result of her highly dubious action of publicly shaming the men for exercising their right to free speech. This does not prove any of your points in the slightest, it just proves that people think she's a moron. Tell me something I don't know. Regardless of the nuances of the incident, the fact remains that Richards faced a gargantuan backlash that included death threats, rape threats, a flood of racist and sexually violent speech, a DDoS attack on her employer, and a photoshopped picture of a naked, bound and decapitated woman. The use of mob justice to punish women who advocate feminist ideals is nothing new, but why does this happen so regularly when women criticize the tech industry? Just stating that the tech industry has a sexism problem curriculum, something that's supported by reams of scholarly evidence, riles up the trolls. Well, guess what? Reporting the nuances of a particular story just happens to be your fucking job. As for sexism in the tech industry, please show me the proof. Note the distinct absence of a link where she boldly states reams of scholarly evidence. I guess I'm just gonna have to take her word for it. As for the laundry list of bad things that happened to Adria, it's not the role of the journalist to say whether they were so bad or so good, but just to report that they happened. To me, this looks like purely trying to push as many examples together as possible to confuse the audience, otherwise known as the Chewbacca defense. This was a classic tactic used by feminists such as Adria, and it really has no place in something that is supposed to be found in a reputable website such as Wired. So pretty much that's it. I can't read anymore. Let's look at the next article. Article 2. How men's reactions to Donglegate shows sexism exists in the tech industry, by Megan Rose Dickey. Well, as they say, assumptions make an ass out of you and me, and this one is quite the doozy. Note the way it says the way men react, assuming of course that no woman could have ever reacted negatively to the things that Adria did. So, let's just actually have a look in the article, shall we, because that was a pretty good indication of what we're going to find inside. Yesterday we covered how Google software engineer Julie Pagano says her experiences in technology have felt like death by 1,000 paper cuts. In both cases, many people responded with offensive sexist comments. These comments, while not representative of the entire tech community by any means, suggest that many of the complaints that women like Richards and Pagano have are entirely valid. Well, I can't speak to the highly suspicious anecdotal evidence presented here, but I can say this. The fact that either of them have been attacked does not validate their claims unless they claim that they were going to be attacked as a prediction. Just because someone makes threats to Adria doesn't mean that dick jokes between friends are not okay. Once again, we have a so-called journalist making some pretty brash claims without real sources of any kind. The right kind of mentorship and the right kind of managers is the best way to encourage women, Sharma says, and the debate about how many women engineers is not as relevant as having women in leadership roles. Okay, well this one has a source. Too bad it's complete bollocks. You see, here we have someone directly stating that affirmative action is the only way for women to ever achieve success, which I find quite frankly pretty misogynistic. Now, I'm not going to give my opinion on affirmative action overall, but suffice to say, this kind of bias makes it impossible to take this story seriously. Let's just move on to the next article. Article number 3. Adria Richards, I'm saying safe. Well, that's nice, I guess. Why is there so much hate online? In the words of one beat-up, mistreated and racially targeted victim, why can't we all just get along? And there we have it, folks. This article has literally just come out and called Adria a poor little victim right to our faces. I guess I'm supposed to agree with her now. Sad face. I've been cursed and pillared and told to go kill myself by people on both sides of the issue just for writing about these events. People from both sides see what they want to see and like trained dogs go in for the kill with little consideration, no mercy, no nuance, no shades of grey. They are so blinded by their self-righteousness that they're perfectly okay with perpetrating more metaphorical violence in the service of their almighty God-blessed cause. It's been unbelievably worse for Adria. Okay, I have no issue with the first paragraph. I agree that sometimes groups will try and shoot the messenger when journalists report. People can be incredibly gung-ho over the issues. And then the last sentence screws it all up. Really, Adria's the one that's had the worst off here? She's suffered the worst and not the man with 3 children who is now out of a job? Boy, unbiased journalism is my favourite kind. Though we'll see more about bias in just a second. Do we live now in a culture where there are no second chances, where there's no ability to call a mulligan, get a do-over, or just have a bad day? Who can live like that? Who's the perfect one among us who doesn't screw up? I've been slandered by both sides for my perceived bias on this, and I agree that no person and no journalist is completely unbiased. I've tried to draw a balanced line here, but I figured that if I'm going to be damned, I might as well be damned for what I actually believe. And what a brave and hero we have here. Guess what, Sunshine? Your personal beliefs cannot influence your reporting, or you are not a journalist, just a propagandist. And yes, everybody is biased. In fact, it has been difficult for even me to keep even-handed on this thing, but you know what? I did it. I stick to the facts because I know if I start to deviate even a little bit, then I might as well be lying about everything. And of course, it doesn't stop there, folks. Get this. Since March 20, she has not published a single tweet. There have been no new posts on her blog. She's been silenced. Congratulations, Internet! Well, calm is a bitch, ain't she? And this is the thing. Adria just scored a massive own goal for women in the tech industry because men will now have a real hard time trusting them. You don't demand respect. You earn it. So in conclusion, it is impossible not to be sickened by some of the biased, unprofessional, unsourced, badly written rhetorical crap that these organisations present as articles. The only way that they can even pass this yellow journalism off as having some sort of semblance of legitimacy is by hiding behind the fact that they are all opinion pieces, and even then they are nothing short of rhetoric and wild speculation. I hope that this has been informative. I've been Dangerous Analysis, shining light on some of the appalling practices of the new media. And until next time, as always,
good night and good luck.